All right, our aim today is how do we add polynomials? So on the screen, there are two different polynomials that I'm going to try to add together. We have two strategies that we're going to talk about. The first one, strategy number one, it's an ugly strategy, is to distribute a positive one and then combine our like terms. So let's try that with our example two polynomials. So what I'm going to do is I still have my first polynomial. I'm going to rewrite that one. And then in front of the second one, I'm going to add my invisible one that's already assumed to be there. So what I need to do is get rid of my parentheses. The way I'm going to do that is by distributing this one, this positive one, to every term in my second polynomial. So what I end up with is 5x squared plus 7x plus 6, and then a positive 1 times a 3x squared gives me positive 3x squared. Positive 1 times a negative 3x is minus 3x, and then a positive 1 times a positive 3 is plus 3. So I'm going to group these together by like term. So I can take my two x squareds and put those together because those are the two I'm going to combine. And then I'll take my x's and put those next to each other. And then I'll take my two constants and put those together. So now what I can do is combine my three sets of like terms. So I'll combine these two, I'll combine these two, and then I'll combine these two. So 5x squared plus 3x squared gives me 8x squared. I'm just adding my coefficients and keeping the variable that's there. 7x minus 3x is 4x. And 6 plus 3 is 9. Once I put it all together, I'll get 8x, oops, need to move it up. 8x squared plus 4x plus 9. And that's my final added polynomial. So now let's try it with our second strategy. So strategy number 2 is going to be to line up our expressions. What does that mean? Well, let me rewrite what we're trying to do first. My second one is 3x squared minus 3x plus 3. So what I want to do is line up my x squared on top of my x squared, my x on top of my x, and my constant on top of my constant. So what's that going to look like? I'll get 5x squared plus 7x plus 6. And then I'm adding, so 3x squared minus 3x plus 3. So my 5x, my x squareds are lined up, my x's are lined up, and then my constants are lined up. So now I can take all of these numbers and add them all together. So 5 plus 3 gives me 8x squared. 7 plus a negative 3 is a positive 4x. And then a 6 plus a 3 gives me a positive 9. And then I get to have the same exact answer as I got before. So this is my final added polynomials. Let's try it with our example. So I want to add together negative 3x squared minus 7x plus 9. And my other polynomial is negative 5x squared plus 6x minus 4. So I'll do it both ways so that we can see another example done both ways. Since I only have a little bit of room left on this page, I'll do this one with strategy number 2. So I'm going to line up my expressions. So my squared is going to go on top of my squared, my x on top of my x, and my constant on top of my constant. adding both of these together. So -3 plus a -5, I'm getting more negative, so I'm going to have a -8x squared. -7 plus a +6 gives me a -1, so I'm going to get a -x. And then a 9 plus a -4, I'm getting closer to 0, so I have +5. And there's my added polynomial. Now let's try it with strategy number 1. So in strategy number 1, what I want to do is put them both next to each other and then distribute a +1. So I have -3x squared minus 7x plus 9. The only setup that I need to remember is to add this +1 in front of my second expression. So I have -5x squared plus 6x minus 4. So again, just like I did the first time, I'm going to distribute this -1 to each term in my second expression. So my first term stays the same, or my first polynomial stays the same. And then a +1 times a -5 is a -5x squared. A +1 times a +6x is +6x. And a +1 times a -4 gives me -4. So now I'm going to line up everything with the like terms next to each other, so it's going to be a little bit easier for me. When I'm doing this, I have to be careful to take the sign in front and move it with the entire term. So that's a -5x squared, so I have to subtract the 5x squared. Likewise, the -7, I need to take that negative sign with me. And then a +9 minus 4. So all we have to do now is combine our like terms. And I'll get -3 minus 5 is -8x squared. -7 plus 6 is -x. And 9 minus 4 is 5. So let's add them all together. I get -8x squared minus x plus 5. And there's my final expression.